Right, so we've all come back from a long, well-deserved break. Some people still on leave for the moment. Enjoy that while you can. But more importantly, it's back to school in exactly a week from now. So the youngsters, if you're watching, enjoy your last few days of school holidays. Now, some children are going to go to new schools, but of course, especially the grade 1s and the grade 8s. Primary school and high school, what an event it's going to be. Unfortunately, though, some pupils will be repeating a grade. Of course, we'll get to that and the kind of support they need in just a few moments. So I'm wondering, of course, how can parents prepare their children? And I suppose one could argue, how do you prepare yourself as parents for the 2023 school year? Well, educational psychologist and Nicola Buhr with us this afternoon. Nicola, good afternoon to you. I appreciate the time. Let's start with the newbies, if we will, the little grade 1s, the cute little grade 1s and grade 8s. So where should the focus be, the pupils or the parents?
Both, really. I think if you only focus on the one, you're definitely neglecting the other half. So I would say be organized as parents. Start with the parents. So I would say make sure that you are prepared. Preparation is key for a new school year. And you can't expect children to be in holiday mode up to the day before school starts and then just be absolutely ready for school. It doesn't work like that. So I would say the first step is to ensure that children are getting enough sleep. Children between 6 and 12, so that age range you mentioned, need between 9 and 12 hours of sleep a night. So preferably 10 to 12 hours, which is a lot more sleep than what people actually realize. So if you can start that, so don't let your children have late nights and then the night before school starts, suddenly expect them to get back into a sleep routine. The sleep routine should start now again. And also just being aware of what is going on with your children. So if you want to know how they're doing in their new school, are they adjusting? Are they coping with the new schedule? You actually need to spend time with them. And the easiest time for that is generally supper time. So if you can make sure that at supper time, everyone is together, screen free, so no cell phones, no TVs on, and just communicate with your children. Ask them about their day, see if they have any concerns, if anything happened that you should be aware of. By having that open communication on a daily basis, or at least 5 times a week, it just creates opportunities for children to discuss problems with you. And it will just make you more aware of what is going on in their lives.
And I imagine as well, if you can start that habit, especially for the grade 1s, if you start that 5 nights a week, I think you said no screens, etc., and you can try and keep that going, that's going to be their new pattern. That's going to become their new norm and their safety blanket for the first couple of years.
Yes, and it's 30 minutes. You don't have to have long dinners, just 30 minutes with your children. And a lot of children don't get any alone time with their parents because parents work during the day. So it's the perfect opportunity where you can just connect with your child and know what's going on in their lives.
Let's talk about the grade 8s for a moment. If I cast my mind back to high school, which was far too many years ago, friends of mine had moved to different areas, they'd moved to different schools, and you're at that very vulnerable teenage moment of your life where you don't know if you're cool, you don't know if you're going to make friends, and being a parent of a grade 1 is probably a bit easier, I would imagine, tell me if I'm wrong, than being the parent of a grade 8 who thinks they know everything, don't they?
Yes, I would say it's different stress, but similar stress levels. So it's just different types of anxiety that you experience when you're going into grade 1 and what you experience going into grade 8. The change from grade 7, where you're sort of at the top of the school system, to grade 8, where you're back at the bottom of the school system, can be quite anxiety-inducing for a lot of children. The best step, I would say, with children going into new schools is to get your support group sorted out. So get to know other children. Make sure that your children are included in social events or meeting new friends, joining sport teams, cultural events. You don't want your child to be isolated. It's a difficult time in their lives they need social intervention. They need social experiences. And to be alone at that time is probably your highest risk factor.
How do we try and address any anxiety or concerns with parents when it comes to, again, we'll use the grade 8s and grade 1s because we're talking about them. The grade 1s are going to come back from the first day of school. There's going to be tears. There's going to be lots of hugging. They hate school. They hate being away from mom. What does mom or dad do in a case like that? Because is that normal? The reason I'm asking is, when should a parent be concerned that it's not just missing mommy and daddy? There's actually might be a problem here.
So normal levels of anxiety are expected. You can't expect children to just jump into new events and not have some form of anxiety. Where you need to be concerned as a parent is if it doesn't stop. So if it continues, so if you're looking at 2 to 3 weeks of ongoing anxiety and separation anxiety and tears and refusals to go to school, then look into speaking to your GP or any family doctor that you go to, or look for a psychologist to help. So then you can actually start looking into, is there more to this? Do we need to spend more time investigating and providing them with support? And unfortunately, with anxiety, a lot of people do say to children, they'll adjust, or they will learn to cope with it, and they will just get better at it. Anxiety gets worse over time. And if children get the help that they need when they are younger, and you can learn with cognitive behavioral therapy, which is used with anxiety, you teach children strategies to cope with anxiety, but it changes at different ages. But what you are basically doing is creating adults who have a better handle of anxiety and possibly have it to such a minimal level that it's not actually impacting their lives. So where we look at, do you need help or not, is if anything impacts a child to the point that it impacts their schooling, it impacts their home life, and it impacts their social life, or either one of those, then you need to look further. So that would be the level. So if the anxiety is so difficult, or they're so stressed about going to school that they are unable to go to school, or unable to make friends, or the home life is suddenly chaotic, that is the level that parents go, okay, self-help or just the normal support systems might not be enough.
Let me ask you this just very briefly, Nicola, before I say goodbye. I mentioned that it is a reality. You're going to have youngsters who are repeating a grade as well. And there's a lot of social stigma and possibly embarrassment. Some would say even shame, especially if you're going into grade 8. You're now being held back. You're going to stay in primary school, essentially. How does a parent handle a situation like that? And how does a pupil handle that? Just before I say goodbye.
Well, repeating is not always a bad thing. I see a lot of benefit in repeating a grade. If you are delayed and you aren't appropriately ready, whether it's a social level or academic level, by repeating, you're actually getting an opportunity to catch up, which does put you in a better position in the long term. It might just cause, with some children, it's that sense of shame you're talking about, that parents, teachers, and have a conversation with your child. Give them the reasons. Have a discussion with them. I wouldn't just put a child back and say, well, you have to repeat the grade. Do it with a discussion. And the teachers do provide a lot of support in that field as well. And just in making children feel welcome, even if they are repeating. There are different ways to do it. Some people change schools. Other children are happy to just do it within a school. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. But providing support, yes. But at the same time, I would like to just add that repeating a grade without knowing why you're repeating a grade doesn't provide as much benefit. You want to know why you're repeating so that you can actually bridge that gap or close or fix the issues that are causing that repetition of a grade.
And hopefully it won't happen as they move forward as well. Nicola, what a pleasure talking to you. I think it's good advice for the parents, the pupils, wishing all the moms and dads and parents and caregivers and whatever it might be, all the very best for next week. It's great advice. Educational psychologist Nicola Buhr joining us here on the South Africa Tonight.